Hi there, in this example we are going to create a game called Starcatcher. So I've just got my default landscape here, and our objective is firstly just to increase the size of our area here. So I'm just going to quickly go to the paint terrain, and I'm just going to use my arrow keys to increase the size of the brush. So I'll probably about this big, which is perfect. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in a sprite here, which is actually going to create my stars for me. So I'm just going to press this. When you're in the Kodu section here, if you press the space bar, it still allows you to switch to the hand tool and navigate around. That's a good shortcut to use holding down the space bar. So I'm just going to zoom in here, and I'm just going to bring in my character. I'm going to right click, I'm going to add an object, and I'm going to bring in a Sputnik. Okay, so here is my Sputnik. And what I'm going to change the color of my Sputnik. I'm going to make it a little red or something like that. Okay, so here's my Sputnik, and we're just going to get, it's going to be nice and tall, my Sputnik. It's going to be zooming around the sky. Okay, so there he is. Okay, perfect stuff. And what I want my Sputnik to do is to fly around a certain area of the screen, and in the meantime he's just going to be throwing down, producing stars at a random time. So let's program our Sputnik first. So let's just right click on him, and let's go to program. So first things first, let's just get him to start producing stars first. Let's get used to this. So we just go when, and I'm going to use a timer. And for my timer, I want to have an interval between 5 and 10 seconds. Okay, so we're looking at, say, 5 seconds, between 5, random, and 10. So anything between 5 and 10. What's he going to do? Well, in between 5 and 10 seconds, or actually let's change that back to 5 again. So between 5 seconds plus 5 is 10. So between 5 and 10 seconds, what's he going to do? He is going to create something. So you go to Actions, you go to Create, and it's going to create for me a star which is red. Okay, so if I just press escape and escape, let's just see what it does. There we go, and we have our first star. There we go. So that is working for us, which is great. There we go. So let's get a bit of movement. So our Sputnik is nearly finished. So what I want to do then is I'm just going to zoom out here. I'm going to hold the space bar again, and I'm just going to get a nice aerial view of my little landscape here, and I'm going to use the path tool, and I'm going to create a path for my Sputnik to follow. So I'm just going to draw connect them up. I'm just going to draw. So you'll see you'll be able to cut across the middle, cut across the top, and it's going to be following this path. So let's program our Sputnik then. Okay, so he can really do this. He's producing stars for me, but I'm just going to lift up this block of code and put it on top. So we don't need a when, we just want him to do it straight away. So he's going to move on my path quickly. So let me just get a nice view here, nice side view. I'll be happy with escape to test. Here he is, he's off. There we go. So that is all our Sputnik is going to do. That's all the code we need for our Sputnik. So he's doing exactly what we want it to do, which is throwing down stars. And our objective then is to drive around and collect them. Okay, so let's create our own sprite then. So I'm just going to right click down here, and I'm going to add a cycle. So here we are. And I'm just going to right click on him, and I'm just going to make him just a little bit smaller, about 0.5, 0.6 maybe. There we go. And we are going to take complete control of him. So we're going to right click and program. And I'm going to use my keyboard. And I'm going to use my arrow keys to move him. And when I use my arrow keys, he's going to move quickly. See, because I'm chasing this star in the corner here. The thing is, when I get near it, when I touch it, nothing actually happens. Okay, I'm just going to escape out of that, and we're going to program that. So let's go back into our cycle here, and I'm going to say to my cycle, when I bump into a star hiding in here, yeah, when I bump into a red star, I want to eat it. Okay, and when you eat it, what is the consequence of that? Okay, so you actually want to get a point. So I'm going to bring in a scoring system. Okay, so you click on number 3, but what we want to do, because it's a consequence of this line, I'm just going to put it in 1. And we don't need a when, it's just another consequence. So we're just going to bring in, go to the score. So they have the plus here. We're going to add to the red score 1 point. So let's try that now. I can get near it. There we go. Took me a while, but I got there. Okay. So as soon as you bump into your stars, you get a point. And my points just start to accumulate, which is exactly what I want. Okay. So that's working, which is great. So how are we going to win the game? So we're going to win the game when we get 10 points. So we're going to scroll down here, and we're going to say when the red score equals 10. What's the consequence of that? Well, you win the game. Okay. But there's going to be another sprite that's going to be driving around here chasing the stars too. And if he gets a point, then he is going to deduct a point. And if we go below 0, then it's going to be game over. So we go when the red score is below 0, the game will end. Okay. So let's bring in our bad sprite now. So I'm just going to bring him over here, and I'm going to add an object. I'm going to add another cycle, and this time I'm going to change his color. He can be my black cycle, and I'm going to change his size down to 0.6. Okay, and what's he going to do for me? Well, he is going to move by himself, so I'm going to go do and move, but he's going to wander. Okay, and he's going to wander quickly. So if I press escape to test it out, you'll see he just takes off by himself. He's gone. Just wandering around aimlessly around the landscape. Okay. Okay, but so he needs to collect the stars too. So I'm just going to program him. So when he sees a red star, okay, he is going to move towards it. So he's going to move towards it quickly. So what we're going to do now is even though he does move towards it, there's still going to be no consequence of him actually touching the star. So we want to make sure that when we bump into it, so when you bump into the red star, he is going to eat it, and after he's eaten it, what he's going to do then, so we're pulling this in just like we did with our own cycle, he is going to subtract 1 point from the red score. Okay. So let's test it out. Let's have a look and see. So he's going to drive around now aimlessly, so let's hopefully he'll catch a star now soon enough. There you go, he's taken one away from me, which is perfect. So I just need to get one more. Once he's facing the right way, he should end the game for me. Let's have a look there. There, he spotted it. There we go, game over. Perfect stuff, exactly what we want. Okay, so what we're going to do now then, just a nice little touch at the end. If the two of these cycles collide, well, we want our black cycle to stun the player. Okay, so we go right click, program. It's a nice little touch at the end. So we say when he bumps into another cycle, what's he going to do? If you go to combat, you can go to stun. It's going to stun it, or stun the player. So I'm going to deliberately now just go into the black cycle. And you'll see you're immobilized for a couple of seconds and it completely takes away your acceleration. So that's a lovely touch. So that is Star Catcher. Now it doesn't look like much now to start off with, but just for the next little while, I'm just going to design my own little world here just to give you some ideas for some designs. And this is where you can really go off and get creative. So all I've done here then is I've just imported some random trees. Just put them in the corners here, put a tree in the middle here, and I've brought in some random rocks which are going to kind of obstruct you as you're driving around trying to get the stars. So very, very simple. It took me just a minute, 90 seconds to do. Just went to the menu, add an object, go to trees, go to rocks, just place them, and yeah, and there you go. So once the game starts, you can press escape, and you're off. And if I bump into the rock, yeah, you see it kind of gets in my way, bit of a nuisance. And the trees get in my way, obstruct my view, and you can see that motorcycle's already beaten me. So there you go. So that is Star Catcher, and after that you can add more sprites and do whatever it is that you wish to do. So really, it's a game where you can get really, really creative. Okay, enjoy.